Psychotherapist from Ontario, and every day I'm sharing science-based psychology on my YouTube channel. And today we will be discussing about performance anxiety and high achievers, and what does performance anxiety mean, and what are some symptoms of performance anxiety, and what neuroscience and different modalities work with performance anxiety to help people to succeed. And specifically, we will be discussing about solution-focused brief therapy and cognitive behavioral therapy strategies, and we'll be comparing them. And so what is performance anxiety? It can be persistent anxiety that arises especially before performing presentations, before doing something that's important for you. And there are different ways and strategies to work with this. Maybe you feel anxious about evaluation, high-stake decisions, and any situation where performance is being observed and judged. And as we talk about this today, what would you like to change as a result of talking to me, being here today? What would you like to be different? So when people are coming to the sessions carrying these difficulties, there are certain strategies that we use to work with the clients, depending on which strategy they would like to use. So using solution-focused brief therapy, we are helping the people to understand what they would like to experience instead. So if a person, for instance, feels overwhelmed, scared, anxious, we are asking, so what you would like to experience instead? Some of them, they are saying they would like to be calm, confident, concentrated, focused, and the attention shifts from anxiety to the version of them that they would like to become. And we are slowly starting to ask the person to describe that desired outcome, and what changes they would like to see, what others would notice about them, and slowly helping them to describe the desired version of them, the desired state of them that they want to become. And we are asking certain questions such as, what would you like to be different, even just a little? And sometimes it might not be realistic to achieve the change that is happening overnight, and we are recognizing that. So if the person says that this is not realistic goal, like to completely eliminate or delete anxiety, we are helping the person to describe the first signs, what would be different if anxiety started to decrease or something else started to fill the place of anxiety. Would it be a joy? Would it be a wonder? Would it be a curiosity or sense of calmness? And what would be different as a result of this? What would they would experience differently? What would they notice about themselves differently? And what would tell them that this desired version of them is already here? How would they know that this change is happening? And for instance, if this version of them already was present here, what would be different in their interactions, in the way they perceive the world, in the way they relate to themselves, in their routines? What would be different about their time management, or the way they relate to their fears, to their problems, challenges? So we are slowly helping the person to describe how they would like to see themselves, what would others notice about them, and how would they carry themselves. And after that, we are shifting to different dimensions of solution-focused brief therapy and helping the person to see the moments where that version was already present in the past, and to think about resources and their capabilities, qualities, environments, routines, or other factors that contributed for this success. And we are, for instance, asking, can you think of a time when anxiety was less, or even if the stress was here, if you were stressed about performance, what helped you? What helped you to feel less stressed, to feel more calm, to feel more confident? What was different during these times? How that version of you, existence of that version of you during that specific period of time created difference for you and for the others, and how often that version was seen in the other domains, in the other fields of your life, in other times, and what helped you to achieve that state more often which qualities, which skills, which people, which routines, what exactly was there about it that helped you to achieve. And this helps for the person to feel more capable, more resilient, more talented, and to believe that the change is possible and that they can uh, use certain resources and skills for that version of them to show up more often. And uh, so also we are asking what helps, for instance, to be at this point of success and to not to go to make things worse. What personal qualities they are drawing during those moments when they can achieve the success, and who or what supports them in being able to show up, and how they manage to keep going despite anxiety and these uncomfortable feelings. And we are slowly helping the person to describe what would be different if anxiety was less during the morning, during the evening, what difference would it make for the other people, and slowly helping the person to realize their resources and to help them to use those resources for the future, for their goals. And this helps to shift attention from the fear to capability, to hope, to possibility, and it activates confidence-related memory networks, because as a result of speaking about change, either in the past or in the future, we are reinforcing positive emotions and hope, and also believe that the change is possible. And our brains are not good at distinguishing whether we are speaking about the change or really experiencing positive emotions or the change. So this creates a kind of positive and required background for the change to happen, because according to research, when people are feeling safe and when they are experiencing positive emotions, they feel relaxed, and uh, this makes change more likely, more possible. And it also leads to cognitive flexibility instead of anxiety that narrows attention, and flexibility of actions. Positive emotions, relaxation, feelings of safe help the person to respond differently and create more flexibility. And it reinforces identity. It helps the person to realize that they are not just stuck in that version of themselves. For instance, if they have failed several times, this helps them to realize that there were some other moments when they felt less anxious or were able to perform, to succeed even during anxious times. And this helps to expand the sense of self and to take step from limiting beliefs or limiting thoughts or feelings that were present during those moments, and actually speaking about the change, about the version that they want to be, helps the person to start to feel those feelings. For instance, if they were feeling calm, like what's if they want to feel calm, even speaking about how they used to be calm or what helped them to be calm already helps the person to re-experience those desired emotions and versions of themselves. And if to consider cognitive behavioral therapy from cognitive behavioral perspective, there are three main elements that we are working with in psychotherapy. Those are thoughts, feelings, and experiences. And according to Beck's cognitive model, um, feelings, thoughts, and behaviors are constantly influencing each other in a triangular relationship. And anxious thoughts produce anxious feelings, which produce avoidant or performance impairing or decreasing behavior, which then generates evidence that appears to confirm the original anxious thoughts. For instance, if you think that you are an anxious person, or if you have some anxious thoughts, such as I'm going to fail, I'm going to make a mistake, these thoughts will generate anxiety, and you would feel stressed during those times. And when you are feeling anxious or stressed, your memory impairs, it's difficult to stay focused, and this worries, anxiety would create more tension, and it's more likely for you to make a mistake or to make an error. And as a result, when a person thinks that they are anxious and they are a failure, after that their emotions are impacted, and if they really make a mistake, they are in a manner reinforcing the thought, the initial thought, and they start to believe in that thought more often, and this creates an vicious cycle that if you get unnoticed, you might start to really believe that you are an unsuccessful person or you are an anxious person, and things won't change. And that's why in psychotherapy we are helping the person to notice this influence between thoughts, feelings, and experiences, and to break the cycle and to make them free. For instance, we can refer here to uh, the easiest way to work is generally with the thoughts. If you notice that this thought is not serving you, you can help yourself to consider the situation from different angles, different perspectives, and to reframe the situation, or to think how useful is this for me to think this way. And as a result, changing your relationship with the thoughts, and as it also mentioned in acceptance commitment therapy, you are in a manner helping to change your emotions, and as a result, change in emotions would create more psychological flexibility, and you will be able to respond differently. As a result, this experience behavior would also reinforce positive emotions, and here is how the change is happening. Or at times when it's difficult, like if there is a lot of overthinking or emotional moments, we are also encouraging the person to act differently as a result of acting differently, using behavioral uh, using behavioral strategies. We are again breaking the cycle and helping the person to feel differently. They start to realize that even if they think differently, their actions can generate different emotions, different experiences, and this creates confidence, this creates awareness, and again they can use these strategies again when they will feel anxious or scared, and this helps to break the cycle and to create change. So when we look at cognitive level, there can be certain limiting beliefs that are causing challenges in creating change for performance anxiety. For instance, imagine certain automatic surface level thoughts. Uh, Maybe you believe that this performance is going badly, and maybe you think I'm going to forget everything, and that everyone around me can see how nervous I am. So during those moments, we can choose to refocus on action, and notice that even if I have these thoughts, I have the freedom to respond to them differently, and to shift on your attention or action. For instance, in solution focused brief therapy, when we have these thoughts, we are asking the person, what would you like to experience instead? What would be more useful way for you to see the situation? What would you notice about yourself if you already could overcome anxiety, or you become that successful version of you? What might have helped you? And this helps the person to realize and to see the change that would be in the future. And again, this would help to create distance with their thoughts, with their feelings, to decrease the impact of feelings and thoughts over them, and make it more likely for them to take action in the direction that they want uh, to move forward. And asking them what are certain things that are important for them, why is it important for them to be successful. Maybe they care about their health, relationships, their career, or people around them, and taking small actions in that direction, even in the presence of uncomfortable feelings and thoughts, is another strategy that is used in acceptance commitment therapy, encouraging the person for committed action and reminding them about their values, and asking what's the smallest thing I can do right now in that direction. And instead of constantly thinking this is going badly, focusing on the next sentence, next step, next action. And if to apply the same, uh, if to think to consider about the same situation or the problem, but using solution focused perspective, we could, for instance, say that at the same time, of course, there are some certain negative thoughts that you have, but there are also positive things that are happening at the same time. Parallel to challenges, there are also positive developments that are happening. And maybe there was certain times in the past when you felt anxious, but you were able to respond to anxiety differently and you were able to succeed. And maybe things didn't go as badly as you thought, as you predicted, or when you handled the situation better a little than expected. And those moments are already telling us something important about your existing strengths, about what might be possible for you, and that not always things are going the way we think, or not always the things are going as badly as we think. And perhaps the older part of you that already knows how to cope with anxiety during those times, if you were able to succeed, knows what exactly you did for the anxiety to decrease and to become a confident, calm version, contributing, caring, loving version of you, and what helped you to maintain that success, what helped you to achieve this. And those small supports and past successes are not accidents, they are resources you can build on. And there are some intermediate beliefs, assumptions, and rules. For instance, conditional beliefs that generate automatic thoughts. For instance, maybe you think, if I make a mistake, I will be judged as incompetent, and that I should always appear confident. My value depends on performing well. And those beliefs are operating as rules that make certain situations threatening. However, maybe the people around you don't necessarily are trying to judge you or thinking about your possible failures. Maybe they are just focused on their own problems, on their own uh, imperfections or challenges that they are experiencing, and not all the thoughts that we have reflect the reality all the time, and maybe even they are not as interested in you as you think. And when you start to consider that there can be some other interpretations or realities apart from realities that your mind is telling you, this also creates freedom for action, to respond differently, to change your feelings, and to help you to act differently, even in the presence of these thoughts. And there are some core beliefs, schemas, with which we are working using cognitive behavioral therapy. For instance, fundamental beliefs about the self, world, and the others. And these are generally shaped in early childhood experiences or during the teen years, and they are shaped by environments we were in, by conditions we were under, and oftentimes we don't even notice that these thoughts have become like schemas, like beliefs, and we are taking action or not taking risks or acting in line with those beliefs. For instance, if a person believes that a world is not a safe place, or people cannot be trusted, or that they are a failure and they are going to fail, imagine how useful might these beliefs be for them to succeed or not to succeed, or to take risks. Or noticing these thoughts might help again the person to take action, to respond differently, to start the change process. And there might be some cognitive distortions, and of course we are not going to find or mention every cognitive distortion that we have. However, it might be useful to notice your own distortions from time to time. For instance, catastrophizing, predicting the worst possible outcome each time when you are facing difficult situation, that this is the end of the world, that if you are going to make a mistake, this will be the end of the end of your career. And imagine how confident can a person be if they really believe or if they think that way. And that's why stepping back and noticing your thoughts and relating them as thoughts, and noticing that your mind is exaggerating or trying to protect you, to keep you safe, can be useful in that regard, to start to respond to these thoughts differently. And if we are using solution-focused brief therapy, for instance, we could ask how you would like to respond, what you would like to feel instead, which action you would like to take, even if this thought was present there. And we know from research that maybe we cannot delete or suppress, it's not useful to suppress or delete, to eliminate initial responses, automatic thoughts that we might have, but we always can learn to respond to them differently, to react to them differently. And another errors that we might have are probability overestimating likelihood of negative outcomes. For instance, uh, you might think, I will definitely forget the key points. Uh, they will certainly notice my nervousness. And where is the evidence that everyone is going to notice your nervousness, or that you're going to forget? Like, this is a likeliness, but it's not definite. It's probability, but when you are feeling too scared, uh, too anxious, and when you are believing this, so this would make it more challenging for you to act confidently, or to act freely, calmly, or to focus on your work well. And the next one is mind reading. This is very often I see in relationships. Assuming as if you know what others think about you, as if they are judging you, or as if they have negative thoughts or feelings towards you. And when people start to ask questions, when they get curious, oftentimes that realize that this is just a mind reading and it's their thoughts, and the person in front of them doesn't think that way, or they are not criticizing or thinking the way that you think. And emotional reasoning, using emotional state as evidence of external reality. For instance, if I'm feeling sad, I might assume that everyone is sad. Or, for instance, if I'm feeling that I'm going to fail, so I probably will. There is no evidence that I'm going to fail. This can be just some emotion telling me that performance is important for me. And situation is not dangerous. For instance, if I feel anxious while entering the exam, if I feel anxious before performing, does this mean that performing is dangerous? Does this mean that this is something threatening? No. But automatically we assume that if we have certain feelings, that this should reflect reality. And noticing this can help you to calm down and to step back and to start to relate differently to your thoughts, feelings, and to respond to them differently, the way that you want. So if we look at research, neuroscience, what's happening in the brain when you are receiving psychotherapy? According to neuroimaging research, when a person is anxious, their attention is narrowing, and it can become more difficult for them to concentrate, to focus. They might start to forget certain things, and an anxious person might start to believe that their attention is not good, or they are not successful, that they are failure, or this can be continue like this and they cannot succeed anything. So that's why neuroscience is important in that terms, to understand how your brain works, and how change can be created, and these symptoms or challenges that the person is experiencing probably are temporary and can be changed or improved by changing your emotions, response, or environments, and playing with these other processes and factors that are around surrounding the situation. And key findings from fMRI studies that were examining impact of CBT for anxiety found that prefrontal cortex activity increases, and CBT strengthens prefrontal cortex regulatory influence over amygdala, the brain's threat detection center. And this means when amygdala is hyperactivated, this can make the person overly sensitive towards stressors, or their emotional reactions can be very high, and it can cause difficulties in emotional regulation, and it's generally seen with trauma, for instance, or generalized anxiety disorder, or if a person feels anxious or not safe most of the time, or if they had really threatening situations, adverse experiences, that part of the brain that called amygdala would be overly activated, and Therefore, CBT strategies were found to make rational thinking more flexible and therefore calming that part of brain that is related with amygdala activity, and this was helping to regulate emotional response accordingly, because if a person is able to stay calmer, to think more rationally, it's easier for them to achieve change, and therefore amygdala reactivity decrease was seen. And after a course of CBT, amygdala shows reduced reactivity to previously anxiety-provoking stimuli, situations, experiences, or anything, and change that corresponds to the subjective experience of the same situation feeling less threatening. For instance, if you are afraid of snakes, uh, after receiving CBT, you might become less sensitive towards the snakes or any experiences, situations that were causing you to feel anxious. An insula that is involved in interoceptive awareness, monitoring of bodily states, shows normalizing after receiving CBT that is consistent with the reduction of hypervigilance to psychological anxiety symptoms that are hallmark of successful CBT treatment. Also, when a person feels anxious and walks into our session, we are trying to understand what's exactly causing them to feel more anxious while using CBT. So sometimes it's just certain situations, triggers, thoughts or feelings might be causing them to feel anxious. Other times, this can be the secondary reactions. For instance, a person might be anxious of anxiety and bodily sensations that are causing anxiety. Sometimes they might be afraid to faint, or some clients, for instance, I'm noticing they afraid to stay in elevator, not because they are afraid of elevator, but because they're afraid of what might happen to them if they will faint in the elevator, and that everybody might be criticizing them or seeing them in that state where they wouldn't like to be seen. So here are some fears about secondary reactions, and depending on what causes anxiety and fears, we are helping the people in the sessions to work with those feelings or thoughts or anything stimuli that causes anxiety or increases anxiety. And while working with solution-focused grief therapy, we are more focusing on what works, what's already working, what strengths, which qualities, what exactly helps to decrease anxiety, and skipping that part related with the examining of the problem. And how anxiety impacts the working memory. According to Bailock and Carr, performance anxiety impairs working memory and a cognitive system responsible for holding and manipulating information in active use. And this mechanism explains cognitive system responsible for holding and manipulating information in active use. And oftentimes you would notice that when you feel scared or anxious, it might be more difficult to hold information, to recall anything, while when you are calm or when you are in a positive state of mind, it can be easy to recall information, to focus on your work, to stay consistent or focused. And most cognitively demanding performances are most vulnerable to anxiety-induced impairment because they require the most working memory capacity, and therefore learning new strategies and working with anxiety is important because it also impacts your memory and ability to recall and maintain, to store information. Then Barbara Fredrickson's broadening and wheel theory provides a bold description of what anxiety does to cognition and also pathway for countering it. Anxiety is a negative emotional state, and it unfortunately narrows attentional scope, restricts thinking to threat-relevant information, and reduces behavioral flexibility, the ability of a person to respond with flexibility towards uncomfortable feelings. And this narrowing is functionally adaptive in emergencies. Anxiety might help you to keep you safe if there is a real situation, threatening situation, dangerous situation, However, your mind is not very good at distinguishing whether there is a real threat or danger, or this is an imagined threat, or this is an emotion or feeling. And when you start reacting to situations that do not actually dangerous as you think, this might impair your functionality, it might impair your performance. Therefore, noticing these parts, these factors that are not serving you, can help you to achieve the change you want to achieve, and to be more productive, more successful, and to learn to respond to these uncomfortable feelings and thoughts differently. And when we are working with solution-focused grief therapy, we are asking, can you think of a time when you were in a similar situation and it went well, even a little bit better than expected? Or what in your life helps you to feel supported or calm in these moments of anxiety? What will be the first small sign that things are going okay, or anxiety is decreasing? So instead of focusing on thinking about memory as something that is stored or something that is very simple, we can think about it in a more complex manner. And in order to remember certain things, there are different functions that are activated in your brain, and a lot of procedures and job is being done at the moment before you remember something or before you are trying to learn something. And your brain holds different pieces of experience. This can be related to images, sensations, emotions, meanings in different places. And when you are asked about a past experience, for instance, you are not pulling out the perfect recording, you are actually reassembling it right then and there. And we're also asking questions from different perspectives. We are asking, what was different during times when you succeeded or you stayed calm, right? This is one perspective. Then we are asking from perspectives or ideas of other people. What did others notice about you? What difference did it make for you? We are redirecting the person's attention not just towards their perspective at that time, but we are again creating cognitive flexibility and helping the person to consider their evidence of success from different perspectives, from perspective of themselves, from the eyes of the other people, and we are helping the person to think about impact, differences, and meaning. So this creates more broader perspective and flexibility, and helps them to realize that maybe certain thoughts that they hold about themselves, that they are not successful, they are a failure, they were not so much useful for them, or they were not close to reality. And in that sense, we are helping to see the situation from broader perspective, or other realities as well. And if for instance at times when a person feels anxious or scared, they might not be able to recall the other times when they succeeded. And in psychotherapy, while we're using solution-focused grief therapy, we are helping the person to realize that maybe their perception at that time or memory at that time was not full, and we are helping the person to see the situation from the broader perspective and to see the full picture, like a broader picture. And this helps to create confidence, positive emotions, willingness to start change, and makes the person more confident towards the change. So when we ask you certain questions such as, can you tell me about a time when you were more confident, more calm, more contributing, you might recall a general event like giving a presentation. But when we ask more detailed questions, who noticed, what did they see, what was happening exactly during those moments, you are making, your brain is naturally constructing a coherent, more full story based on what you already know about yourself, your relationships, and your typical ways of being and how others also experienced you, and this helps to expand your views. So if you say, for instance, my friend probably noticed, and if when we are asking what they have seen, you are now pulling yourself towards a broader understanding of how you show up, what helps you, what works for you, and when you are at your best, when you are at that version of you whom you want to be. And you might say, they would have seen me speaking clearly, standing confidently, staying calm. And now notice what's happening. You are not just remembering, you are building a version of yourself that is consistent with your preferred outcome, and you are slowly teaching your brain to recall moments that might help you to create change, to achieve the change. So your brain doesn't strongly distinguish between constructed memory or concrete experience in an imagined future. So either time when you are going to the future or you are going to the past and searching for evidence of resilience or brilliance or confidence or calmness, we, we co-construct these moments together in the session, and your brain is activating those same networks, confidence, clarity, capability, as if they are happening right now, and this helps to change your emotional state and make you more willing towards making changes and trying something new, being curious about the future, more hopeful, more positive about the future. And what we mean here by memory reconsolidation in that context is that we're not just retrieving the past, we are reorganizing and updating it in a way that supports where you want to go. And if we explain this using other theories or therapies, this is what actually creating different relationship with the experience or creating different meaning for you. And if initially, for instance, you experience certain events and you had negative feelings during those times, maybe you were feeling scared, when you are looking from the future towards the past, you are creating new meaning, new relationship with the event or experience that helps you to create flexibility again and to create change. And so what you pay attention to, which internal resources you access, how you begin to see yourself, and in that manner your relationship with yourself, with the events, with your beliefs, with your feelings is changing, and this becomes the point of change. And so how anxiety is treated using CBT, we are using certain protocols and helping the person understand what are the most scared situations, what are less scared situations, and when the person is motivated enough or willing to start exposure, we are slowly starting to expose the person from less threatened or scared events to the most scared events, and according to research, brain starts to respond differently to stimuli and learns to stay calm. So there are a variety of different strategies that we can use in psychotherapy depending on which strategy, which modality the person would like to use. And I tried to share some general information about different modalities that we are using. I hope it was interesting for you and useful for you. If you have any questions, you are always welcome to leave your questions in the comments. And thank you for coming, thank you for your time. If you haven't, don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications and share these videos with anyone whom you think that this might benefit. See you in the next videos again, and take good care of yourself. Bye.